channel. As you can tell, today stuff looks a lot different. It's looking crisp, it's looking a lot serious. Well, that's because today we are shooting something a little big. It's not even little, it's quite big. We are celebrating 10 years of me being a content creator, and my God, I want to take you guys through this journey. And I guess to a certain extent I want to do this just so that I can have it documented, I can have it put into like a one video. I don't know how that's gonna work. I hope this video is not too long, but basically I'll be running you guys through the 10 years, what it has meant, what it has taken. You guys will be meeting a lot of the people that I've worked with in the past, and let me not get in too much, let's just start. So I began in 2013, which explains why 2023 makes it 10 years, well, somewhere towards the end of 2023. I started when I was in first year, and this is the first year that I signed up for LLB, the University of Botswana. I was quite eager to practice as a lawyer. Some of you guys might know the story by now. Quite eager to practice. I was just a normal student, I'd say, very focused on my academics. However, I love taking pictures. I loved dressing up. That has always been something that's been a part of my life since I was young. Like, I had the little bags, I had the little cute shoes. I was basically always a girly girl, and I loved dressing up. So first year, I was just going to school, chilling, until a friend of mine, Amandle, actually said to me, don't you want to feature in it was a blog at the time. She had a blog. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but sure, let's rock. And she basically covered my style. I think we did 5 outfits with Tumie or something like that. And every day I'd dress up to school, we'd take pictures, and I'd have to tell her what inspired my outfits, and she had it up on her blog. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed taking the pictures, I enjoyed dressing up. Then I said, okay, well, I guess it's something I can get into. And at the time, BBM, where you would update your status of your outfit or what you're up to, what you're listening to, right? So all I had that was close to that was BBM status. And then I got into the space because I said to my mom, I think I want to get into that, and she got me a camera. I remember I had a small white Sony. Actually, I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if I sold it, but it was a birthday gift that I got, or an end of year gift, something along those lines. And with that birthed all these fancy lights that we're looking at today, this mic that I have on, go easy, from that small camera. And yeah, the rest is history as far as 2013. I went into the space, took pictures, didn't do much really besides try and understand what it means to be a content creator. Did a lot of research, stalked a lot of people across the world, and just got inspo. And I spent 2013 and 2014 actually taking tons of pictures, going to events locally just so that I could branch into the space. And because I knew I wanted to branch into the lifestyle element of stuff, I attended fashion shows, I attended brunch events, I attended art exhibitions, I attended anything that was like lifestyle, because I knew it would tie into my content. And by 2014, I learned that you could actually work as a content creator full-time. However, obviously I was very realistic with my market. I knew where I was, so I thought, okay, cool, how do I get brands to notice me, or how do I even have access to certain things? I sent an email to Pristine Magazine. At the time, Pristine Magazine was an online magazine, one of the few online magazines that we had in Gabs actually, that covered lifestyle and I remember saying to the editor at the time, I'd love to style. Yes, I went in with a styling angle. I said, I'd love to style any of your clients that you cover, so the celebrities that are on the covers that you interview. Please, let me style them. At the time, I didn't know nothing about styling besides styling myself, but I felt like that was an in. So in 2014, they said to me, cool, you'll be our in-house stylist. And because it was a passion project, it was a magazine owned by 3 ladies who were friends and went to school together. It was a passion project. Half the time, we all put in our blood, sweat, and tears into making it a success. It wasn't commercialized then, and it was on the journey of being commercialized. On that same journey, I met One, who ironically now, 10 years later or 8 years later, whatever, owns Fadik. And you guys know Fadik dresses me quite a lot. We collaborate a lot because she went into design. At the time, One was a media student, so we needed a camera lady or a camera guy who would go with me to all these shoots. So One joined the Pristine team. We would then go to celebrities and interview them. We would attend events and we would cover them. I remember there was one all-white party. We created a set. I remember I said to the ladies about Pristine, I said I want, because the colors were purple and white, the other magazine. I I said I want a purple carpet, I want a balloon backdrop. Like it was, we created a set. And at the time, I can say we created a set now because I'm on set and I know what it means. But at the time, I just knew I wanted it to look nice. I wanted, as I interacted with the celebrities and the content creators who were at the all-white event, to tell me what they're wearing, why they're wearing it. And as One captures those pictures, that it's crisp and it's great, right? So we created that set. We spent about the whole of 2014 actually attending events. It gave me access to a lot of events. It gave me access, and I guess to a certain extent, cemented my name as far as the industry, but it wasn't quite clear whether I was doing the content creator or doing the stylist. But fact is, I was there, honey. The doors were open and I was in there, and I was ready to be there in whatever capacity, and I would run with it. I'll let you guys know as the years go by. So that's how I met One. One is like a good friend of mine. You know, when people see us now, see us collaborate, especially on my Instagram and stuff, I know people tend to assume that it's another designer and content creator or influencer collabo. We go way back. We you know, she was done with school, I finished school. Throughout the course of our friendship, we were both in varsity. We finished, we started new chapters. She went on to study further, I'm studying further. It's been a journey together. So every time I go for a fitting with her, it doesn't even feel like I'm going to a fitting. It feels like I'm going to see a friend who happens to know how to make good clothes and know my style, and we create magic together. So that was 2014 and 2013. So in 2015, I spent the whole of that year basically trying to leverage off of the fact that by virtue of being a stylist with Christine magazine, it allowed me access into these events, right? So I went into these events. I'd go in, whether I was styling somebody during the events or covering the events from a fashion element. I then used that to also leverage off of building brand Nthutang as a standalone, right? So I would network, I would mingle. I remember I would, make sure that every Friday and Saturday I literally had, like after school, there's an event I was attending. I would get my outfits together just to make sure that one, I'm not only getting content for the magazine, but I'm also getting content for myself. Because by then I had now also gone into my own blog in addition to my friend's inspo, because at the time now we had two separate blogs, right? So I'd go in, take my pictures, make sure that I'm always creating content. And at the time it wasn't called content creation, it was just something that I was doing, right? And it allowed me, like I said, access to network with the right people. That's when I would then meet other content creators. And I like to think there's a certain group, I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to be leaving anybody out by mistake, but there's a certain group that when I say this comes to my mind, and I'll always have a great love and respect for them, because I think without us knowing, we were building or pioneering what would then be influencing space in the context of Botswana or even in gaps, right? Because prior to that, we were used to rappers, we were used to TV presenters, radio presenters, actors and actresses. We did not have content creators. And at the time, there wasn't even a word called influencer. It was I think we were bloggers at the time, that's how we would be referred to. And then later on, obviously the market would grow, new terms would come up, influencers would come up, content creators would come up. And every time I mention this, I can't help but think about how far we've all come separately. Some people have branched into other things, they've leveraged off of the fact that they created content. And it was to a certain extent, it was such a trying time, because there was no blueprint. We were creating the blueprint. We were creating the blueprint, and it was tough, because whenever I speak about this, I try not to get into too many technicalities, but I always say to people, this is a space that is an industry, right? And if an industry doesn't have framework, that means anything goes, which is great, because a blank canvas allows you to paint it as much as you want because it's blank, right? But the danger with a blank canvas is that it's too open-ended. That's where, exploitation can happen. That's where just you not knowing what that space means and what it can do for you or to you happens. But I'd like to think 10 years later, certain collaborations that we've done, and now I'll start speaking about myself, certain collaborations that I've done, certain moves that I've made as far as this industry has sort of allowed there to be something to refer to generations, for generations to come rather. And I think it's always such a great thing to look back at, and without minimizing just how important that year was. It's history. Now I can say it's history, but at the time we didn't know it was history. But anyway, that's a story for another day. I have 2016 as the rise of Nthutang, mainly because I feel like during that year I got to be more in touch with myself and what I wanted. I got to be exposed to a bigger audience. I don't know why, but for some reason my numbers just grew that year. And funny enough, I didn't even have an intense collaboration from a brand perspective. I was just living my life, going to school, taking my pictures on campus, taking my pictures at events, taking my pictures during photo shoots. There was nothing defining happening, which now I appreciate because it makes me realize that the growth that happened in that year was authentic. It had no support. It was just me doing my thing, and I look back at it and I'm super grateful for that. In that same year, I remember I went for a styling internship in Cape Town during a winter break that I had from school at the time. And that same time, I worked on a big project as well as far as the country is concerned. The country was turning 50, was 50 years of independence. So it's the What 50 year. And I styled a production that was centered around What 50. We went on the road, it was a talent search show, so I was styling the presenters and the judges, and we toured the country looking for talent that would come in and celebrate the 50 years of independence in September at the end of that year. That was a challenging project. It was the first time that I felt like I branched out as a stylist and cemented my name. I was working with a client of mine who I had met prior in 2015 or 2014 somewhere in Gauna, because I met Gauna during my pristine styling days. So she was one of the presenters for the show. So it felt like, wow, I'm on this journey with her. We are, not only was I her stylist during her personal moments, now she's in a workspace and I'm styling, and I believe she recommended me for that gig. I stand to be corrected. But it was such a great time to experience that with her. It was a great time to experience that for me. So when you look at my feed, or my Instagram feed, or my blog feed at the time, it had a great balance of work as a stylist, work as a content creator, though I had not commercialized it as much as I wanted, but it was there. A great balance of student Tumie, and a great balance of just Tumie the individual, which I guess it explains why the growth was so organic and so great in that year, 2016, not 2015, 2016 alone. It's the year that I say defined me, and it's the year that also made me feel comfortable in branching out into events in SA. I did a lot of fashion weeks. I didn't miss them. And with Fashion Week at the time, it was a thing of you can get media accreditation, but you need to figure out your accommodation, figure out your transport, because you are this girl sending an email in Gabs and telling, whoever's in charge of it in Joburg or Cape Town that, listen, I'm a big deal. I need to be on that list. Put me on that list. I want to attend the fashion shows. I want to attend the after parties. And it took a lot of grit. It took a lot of, just taking yourself seriously, but also not taking yourself too seriously. So I didn't overthink it. I would get on a combi after school, hit Joburg, get to Park Station, check into a little small hotel or motel, whatever. Sometimes I'd be alone, sometimes I'd be with any of the friends that were in that space at the time. We would leave our bags there, check in quickly. Friday was the first show, Saturday we'd attend as well, Sunday we'd get back on a bus or a combi back to Gabs, and years later that would turn into catching a flight for those type of events. Years later it would mean me stopping to even attend them because I felt like I didn't need them as far as my brand and what I was doing. But to look back at it and be like, wow, do people know about Park Station? Because I felt like the content, Joburg Fashion Week would set me apart from content, a fashion show just in Gabs, so I could show people I could do both. It's I think about it now and I'm thinking it took a lot of grit. I'll say that. 2017 was a year of consistency for me. Nothing much was happening as far as it being groundbreaking. I was just focused on creating content, making sure I go to my classes, making sure that I create content that's somewhat, building to the bigger picture. However, I do have to mention that 2017, I believe it was 2017, is the year I landed my first collaboration with a bank. I worked with FNB Botswana. They got a group of, I think it was me. There was about 4 or 5 of us. I can't remember because I think 1 or 2 people then went separate ways with the bank. The bank basically wanted to create content, have us rather create content that is authentic, merges the bank into our lifestyle, into the way we do stuff. So it was different people. Like I spoke to the lifestyle student element. A friend of mine spoke to like a creative element. I believe one of the crew members was Samantha Moho at the time as well. She spoke to the creative element as well. Tobo spoke to the business savvy dude. Michael spoke to the business savvy dude. Like it was a very well-rounded group. And then it was Tobo, Tumie, Samantha, brilliant is the friend that I said mentioned, spoke to a creative element. So and me, I think it was 5 of us. Yeah. It was interesting. It was a year where I think both entities, that's the creatives and the bank, were trying to figure out what content creation is, what brand collaborations are rather. And I went on to work with the bank, I think from 2017, 18, 19, maybe 2 years, I'm not too sure. And with that collaboration, I got to learn just what it means to collaborate with a corporate, what it means to merge creative and non-creative. It had a lot of ups and downs, I'm not gonna lie and act like it was smooth sailing, because obviously we were both figuring each other out and figuring the space out. And right now, I mean, we've seen so many banks collaborate with other content creators locally and internationally. It's not anything groundbreaking, but at the time it was groundbreaking, and it was very brave for both entities to actually come together. We would attend events that the bank sponsored and highlight that. We would highlight certain services. I remember when I went from New York Fashion Week in 2018, part of our content included the fact that the card that I had at the time could swipe internationally. So I was shopping and doing my content in New York with the very same card that I have in Gabs. And that was such a great moment for me, because I was merging the bank, my travel, my fashion in one way that was super authentic. So like I said, it was a lot of trials and errors, and now I look back at it in hindsight, I'm like, it was revolutionary, if I do say so myself. So shout out to them for trusting us, shout out to the crew that I was with at the time. And it's great to see how a lot of us are still in that space in different ways, and we're doing amazing things, and that's the one collaboration that we all had together. I'm laughing because I don't know how to get into 2018 systematically and orderly. A lot was happening, and a lot in a good way. I think it's the year that the star was getting brighter and brighter. The journey was getting a lot smoother and a lot. The puzzle was coming together basically in 2018, and 2018 had a lot. It had a lot of brand collaborations. It had a lot of collaborations with designers, so please don't mind me if I check my phone, because I'm not going to remember everything off the top of my head. Speaking of designers, let me start with the designers. My journey is what it is today, because I worked a lot with designers locally, with makeup artists, with a hair salon that helped to create a glam squad at a time where glam squads were not a thing. I remember, I think 2018, the Yamas in 2018. Yeah, the Yamas, 2018 was a big year. I think they were in January, and it's the year I wore the long emerald green gown. I had my hair up in a bun, sleek back. Makeup was on point. It was a proper red carpet. You guys know, if you've been on my journey, this picture that I'm talking about, you know it. It made its rounds the entire year. I went for many interviews, because that's the year that I also had a lot of collaborations. They used that picture, it circulated. Got to a point where I was like, yo, I'm no longer doing an interview that's going to put this picture as the picture. Can I give you guys more pictures, right? And that was such a great and defining moment in my life, because Eccentric Style Loft had dressed me that evening.
Anita, and I'm with
Dikazo, or you can call me DK.
Yeah, together we make what you see behind us. We make a team called Eccentric Style Loft.
First collaborative effort was doing the Yamas with her. We mostly were doing big events for her. Whenever she gets to show up, we would make sure that we have an outfit ready for her.
Okay.
Yeah. What inspired our collaboration with Tumie?
I think when I recall, Tumie approached us because she was dressing someone, and she needed an outfit for a client, yes. And then we were doing a couple of gigs for her and Hana, and then she would have to attend some of those things with her. And we're like, why should you not go to work looking cute yourself? I think I remember those are some of the first things that we started doing. So we started doing pieces for her to go along with her client.
Yeah, because she was a stylist.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she's still styling.
But when we met her, mainly she was styling. And then eventually she started doing more work for her own personal stuff when she started going big on her blogging. I think then she was blogging.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we started doing pieces. And I mean, it was an ease flow into the relationship because Tumie's taste and style is fluid. Her body can take and hold almost any piece. So I think it became, we just flew into it.
It became an easy relationship because we also used to use her for our photo shoots. Because she has a following and we also wanted to tap into that market. So we have had quite, I wouldn't say there's only one iconic dress it's done for me.
Yeah.
But one that really stood out is the Yama dress, the emerald green dress.
Yeah.
Everybody knew that dress. That dress was a showstopper. And also there was one that she attended Devon July with, the gold dress.
Was it the one in Cape Town? It was an event. It was Cape Town. As far as her, we were able to tap into a different market as well.
With Tumie, to be honest, is an all-rounded influencer. She influences the young, the old,
The working.
Yes, she has quite a large audience that she gets to attract. And also, what I would say I've learned from our collaboration with Tumie is time.
Yeah.
Tumie is a person who keeps to time. She does not want to be delayed 1 minute or 2 minutes. So from working with her for the time that we have, she has really taught me that you have to stick to a time, to a particular schedule. I'll tell you a story actually about Tumie. I hope she doesn't kill me for this. So there was one time she had to come in for a fitting. And when we do our fittings, usually you would find maybe one of us in a consultation with another client, and then maybe one of our assistants will get to assist her and fit her. So one time she came and we're still in a consultation with a client. So we forgot to ask one of our assistants to help her so that she doesn't get to wait. So she was there, we were still in a consultation. She waited for 10 minutes. She came over, she was like, DK, we need to get started. So it was not a pretty picture. She was not happy. But yeah, it did teach me that she's someone who keeps to schedule, and time is money. So you're not about to mess with her money.
And talking about time as well, one of the things that I know Tumie is big on in terms of time is when your content comes out.
Yeah.
Like, she's not gonna be putting up a post at a particular time just because the post is ready. There are peak times and non-peak times other that. So she's big on that. It's been beautiful to watch her learn how to maneuver and balance, because Tumie has a lot on her plate, but you would find that she has the same amount of time as the rest of us, and you wonder, how does she get to achieve all of this?
No, I don't think she has 48 hours.
She looks like she has 48 hours because she balances and manages her time well. So that's one of the lessons. We've seen her grow and actually perfect the skill because she got better in time.
No, I'm convinced she's a robot. No, she's not human.
Sunshine, you're not human. I mean, you are sunshine, so okay. I want to believe that this collaboration has really had an impact not only on us and herself, but on the landscape as a whole.
In the industry.
In the industry, yeah.
Just to add, people now take fashion more serious.
Yeah. I mean, people look forward to seeing who's wearing what, and they don't only look forward to seeing who's wearing what. They are concerned about what they are bringing to the table themselves. So that's
and who dressed you?
Yeah.
Like we never had questions like that in our fashion industry. Who are you wearing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it gets conversations started. You know, us as designers as well get to shine because of that.
If I believe at some point I worked with Dida, whether I was styling clients via their fabrics or their garments rather, they would also style me sometimes. Even go on to work with Delaney Scott, and you know, I went for Fashion Week with Dee. I call her Dee. I went to Fashion Week with Dee. My Fashion Week in 2018 experience was courtesy of her saying, hey girl, I'm showcasing in New York, let's go. You always style your clients with my clothes. Sometimes you shoot my stuff. Let's create an experience and let's collaborate. And we went to New York Fashion Week together. She dressed me that evening.
I am Delaney Scott from Delaney Scott. I'm the creative director of Delaney Scott. Some may call me Delana, but it's actually Delana. Very first one is there's this popular green dress, which is randomly in December. She had said to me that she has this extra material that I think she had bought it for some Tanqueray something, and she just has the material at home, and she just dropped it off and said, Dee, just do something. So then I said, okay, fine. We usually close during January, but I can do something and we can post it in Feb. So I whip up something. To me, I whip up something quick. Booked Kubla Khan, we got the photographer, we went and we did our thing, and I honestly didn't think that that particular dress would have blown up the way it did. It was another one where we did, yet again, it was another shoot. We had this thing where we'll do shoots like for the beginning of the year, like to just open up. It's more or less for like me as a promotion for my business opening up, because I open in Feb. And then also it's for her saying, it's the new year, I'm back. So we did a shoot with my photographer this time in Nthutang. And I said to him, I wanted it to be in a quarry. I don't know where it is, but we're gonna find it. So that day I told Tumie I'm gonna make her a black dress, because we've never done, I think we've done black before, but we had done it as a group with Winks and Girly. So I wanted her to be in a black ball gown kind of thing. She's like, oh Dee, I don't know. And I'm like, no, I got you. So we did a whole corsetry thing, and actually that one was my favorite shoot until today. It's actually on the wall. In the middle there in our wall of fame. Funny story. So I got invited to New York Fashion Week, and at the time when I got the invitation, Tumie was actually in Cape Town at Cape Town Fashion Week. So I saw her posting something on her story, I think, and then I randomly commented and said, it would be so cool if you came to New York Fashion Week with me. And then she's like, Dee, give me details. I didn't think she would take it serious. New York Fashion Week came about. I went ahead before her because obviously I had to go and do certain logistics, and then she came a few days later. It was a great experience, to be honest. It was a once in a lifetime experience, obviously, for both of us. For her as a content creator, for me as a fashion designer, coming from representing Botswana. I'm not from Botswana, but I mean, I live here, so I represent Botswana. But it was a very great experience. I was shocked. I really didn't think that she would actually take that serious and go with me. But yeah, we ended up in New York together. She was in front row, and it was fun. Shall I be honest? Tumie is a robot. Tumie writes every single thing, from the time she wakes up to what time she eats breakfast to the time that she needs to, like, she has a time slot for everything. Even before Tumie got to New York, Tumie sent me a list of the things that she wanted to do from the time she arrived at the airport. For that whole day, we need to go to Tiffany & Co., we need to go to Carrie Bradshaw apartment, we need to go to this specific restaurant to eat. I can't. I wish I could work on that kind of robotic timing, but that's a great attribute to have, but I really can't. I applaud her for that, but she's generally a robot. She likes things to be in a specific way. She's very particular about her things. I'm a perfectionist, but I think Tumie has taken the award. She has a PhD in that. I can't. The perfectionists in both of us, somehow we manage to work and we don't clash much. You would think we would clash because she's a perfectionist, I'm a perfectionist. She's strong-headed, I'm also strong-headed. We're both kind of strict when it comes to our job. So, but we've managed to work that out and to somehow get through it without any, conflicts or any of those kind of things. So of course, I'll definitely work. I really, really enjoy and I admire her work ethic. And that is a great, great attribute to have. And I wish others could really learn from that. I mean, a lot of people don't know behind the scenes how serious Tumie is about her work. I think they just see the end result. But the whole entire process and how she likes to have things a certain way, I would give her 100% for that. So I definitely will work with her again. Of course.
At the time, I was just like, okay, business as usual, let's go, let's go, let's go. But now I look back at it and I'm like, without those designers, there would be no, I don't think they'd be Nthutang right now. Not in this context. I don't think my consistency would have been what it was, because every single event or photo shoot, I was taken care of. If I wasn't wearing store-bought casual stuff, they would get me into like fancy, snazzy, stylish stuff that I felt like to a certain extent was way beyond its time. Even just the way I showed up to events was different. It was like, okay, there's effort here. She's done her makeup, she's done her face, she's done her hair, Edlyn had been working on my hair at the time. I think 2018, we had met in 2017 or 16 or even 14. I've known Edlyn for a while. Edlyn, I mentioned her casually because we have a relationship, but basically her brand is the makeover place. They did my hair even today. As you guys will know, I've tagged them in all my stuff. They've done my hair for years. We've done ponytails, braids, da-da-da, da-da-da. And me appearing well put together is because I had her backing me every single time. Some days she'd come on set with me if I was styling my clients and it would be a three-way thing. Some days she'd come to events with me if I'm backstage and I need to look a certain way before going on stage for whatever reason. Some days she'd be with me on set for shoots. Some days I'd go to the salon and have my hair done by anyone, because it got to a point where it wasn't a relationship with her but a relationship with the salon. So even now when I book, it's very rare that I'd get to have her do my hair. Actually, we were laughing about it the other day. I'm like, girl, I don't call you no more. I just call the reception and I'm sorted. So you're obviously like the first and possibly the only not possibly, yes, the only hairstylist / salon that I've worked with in the past 10 years. We met 8 years ago. How's that collaboration been?
It's been amazing. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But it's been amazing. There's days when I'm happy to do your hair. There are days when I don't know if I'm happy or tired, because the hairstyles, I don't know if I can pull them through, but at the end of the day,
I think our relationship over the past 8 years, because I'd like to believe we're one of the first influencer salon relationship in the city.
Yes,
if I say so myself.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with you, and I'm very proud of us.
What's been your favorite hairstyle over the past 8 years?
Puff, ma'am.
So what we're doing now?
Like, yeah.
Even me, this is my favorite. Like anytime I have my hair tied back, I think I feel the prettiest. Second would be, I can't say a second, man. I can't think. It's this, man. It's just my ponytail. Like different types of ponytails for me have always been the best. The one thing I'll always stress about though is that I need my hairline. Like though that's my signature thing. The edges need to always be great.
Can I tell my clients that their hairlines are perfect, but you have extraordinary hairline for baby hairs?
Like my hair is literally up close to my brow. Yeah, it's close to the brow.
Yeah, so your edges are always on steroids.
I think that's why I love the ponytail, because then the edges get to shine. Makeup artist, we did my face today. She's been doing my face for the past, I think 3-4 years. Prior to her, Kim was doing my face all the time, and then it's to a certain extent it became both of them. And now I look back at it and I'm just like, actually, I had a glam squad. I didn't even know it was a glam squad, but it was a glam squad, right? And they always got me together. To this day, they do what I need to get done all the time. These ladies have seen me through, whether it's the designers or the makeup artist or the stylist, they've seen me through varsity, they've seen me through graduation, they've seen me through my wedding, they've seen me through growing my brand. I can't think of a moment that didn't feature at least 2 of them at a time, and it's great. I can't speak about 2018 without mentioning them.
I have a top 3. The first one, I believe, was the Yamas. She was wearing a pink big dress. I can't explain it. But I think it was 2017, 2016. It was our earlier years. But I feel like that's when I started picking up on the makeup thing. And my second favorite was a photo shoot we did with Mr. David Billboard. Shout out. They were stills and it was just a natural look, and it just showed just how beautiful, how naturally gorgeous she is. Not any intense makeup or anything like that, but just to me, natural, beautiful. And my third was her wedding look, which was her Horoso look. I think we had some blue eyeshadow in there. So those were my top 3 favorites.
Like my actual first person to like work with on that type of level.
Yeah.
And I just love the fact that it's been stable, and also just the fact that I've been able to grow so much just as a makeup artist and as an entrepreneur while working with you.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have a pretty face. So
I'm not that bad.
so it's been really awesome just exploring different looks with you also.
Yeah.
And also just getting to your favorite type of look, knowing
Yeah.
what you like, and me just being like very familiar with your face.
Right.
So I just love that.
So what's your favorite look on me?
Your signature golden classic Tumie look, which everyone loves.
Thank you.
So I've just titled it a soft glam. Whenever somebody wants to do your look, I'm like, that's soft glam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. That's my vibe.
Yeah.
I think if I could wake up like that every day, the world would be a better place.
It would be a better place.
I'm telling you. And then with One, I mentioned her prior as a friend, and remember via Christine. In 2019, though I'm not talking about 2019, I'm just mentioning her because of the designers. One branched into clothing and designing, and that's how she also became a part of my glam squad, her brand being Fabric. And I would alternate the designers depending on who I needed what and who could work with me then. And it's been just so great to see them, dress me, grow with me. I've had some great defining moments, especially over the past couple of years with One, where we've been running, different fashion series on my Instagram, and it's been just amazing to sort of see what 2 people or 3 people can come up with.
My name is One Motlhabane, and I am the founder of Fabric. Some of you guys might know it as Fabric Official. Oh yes, Tumie and I go way back. We literally started off in the industry together. Tumie with Wallabies does it in a good way, because she's very precise with what she wants. She will write a list. I'd wake up, or in the middle of the night, I'll get a text just telling me that fix this, fix that, this and this and that. So she knows exactly what she wants. And she's able to articulate what she wants for the product to come out in a perfect. There's a series that we've done together. It was a Daisy series, and that series came out around lockdown time. And there was one particular dress. It was a mini short flare flirty with like a little bit peekaboo and some lace details. It was a green lacy. It was a beautiful piece. That, I think, from the series was the one look for both of us that was just, it was it for the both of us.
And then I want to go on to brand work. I need to look at my phone because it's 2018 was a lot. This is not in chronological order. I'm just going to be mentioning brands. 2018 I worked with, let me start with VW, Volkswagen. Mainly because I think it also helped to cement me as far as a content creator. At the time, they had recently launched a campaign in Joburg called, what was it? VW Game Changers, and they had collaborated with DJs, a makeup artist I think, a fashion designer, and an artist like Babadroa, that artist, that type, in Joburg, to basically say, we are letting you drive these cars, merge the brand into your content, tell people how as a designer when you go around with your errands, you're driving the car, da 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 da. So I was like, hey, I mean, why can't I get the same thing in Gabs? Dropped my proposal, had a deck out there, promising them the world and them promising me the world, ready to conquer, and I'd like to think we did. And in hindsight, there's a lot of collaborations that are now content creator, car brand based across the world. At the time, it was groundbreaking because it hadn't been done, especially in an African context. So the fact that it was done in Joburg was a tick. The fact that I got to do it in Gabs with them was a tick. Was it challenging? Yes. Much like anything else that's done for the first time, there's a lot of we are figuring it out as we go. I remember that particular collaboration made its way into the papers a lot more than any other collaboration that I had done. There was newspaper articles. I remember saying to them, I want to do a launch. Can I have a launch at the dealership? We had balloons, we had me there, we had my family, my friends, some of my industry colleagues, and all this was stuff I was coming up with because I was just, trying to tap into how do I grow, and I'd go on, and I think I changed cars actually. Hey, I had 3 cars. The first car was a white new Polo because the whole Game Changer collaboration was meant to introduce the newer, bigger Polo. So I was speaking to the student, the young working adult, and basically somebody who juggles a lot because it's a zoop, zoop, zoop in and out car that was very fuel efficient, very compact, very snazzy, and much unlike the older Polo rather, it was bigger, so it had a bit of more space. So my content centered around that. My first car was a white one, and it had like a picture of the sun. It was branded because you need sunshine. And it was branded. I drove that for a couple of months, and then I moved on to a silver one. And then I think the silver one, which one did I go on trips with? I think it was the white one, the OG. The silver one was not for too long, and then I moved over to a red version, which I think at the time it was the Beats version. I think Beats by Dre had done a collaboration with the brand, so I got to drive all those 3. At the time, like I said, I don't want to make it seem like I took it for granted because I knew it was a big deal, but in hindsight, I'm like, you had to have some sort of grit and some sort of self-belief that is crazy, to say to a brand that big that, hey, I'm here, tap into my market. And I've had a lot of people tell me how that sort of inspired them to either go get the car or inspired them to even test drive it, because it's a car, guys. I wasn't influencing it so that you could go to the dealership and buy cars just like that. You don't make a decision like that. It's not like you're buying a handbag, but what that collaboration had to do, it had to sensitize people that there's a new Polo in the market. That's it. And some of the backlash that we received at the time, because there was backlash, there's always good and bad. The backlash at the time was, how does that translate to it being successful? Are people going to the dealership in lines? I would sit down with the team and we would reassure each other over a thing of, we know why the collaboration is the way it is, we know what we want to achieve. And one of the most humbling moments, one lady, and I'm not going to mention her name because I don't know if she wants to be mentioned, she's not in this space, but if she watches this, she will know I'm talking about her, and I hope she comes to the comment section because she knows I love her so much. So long story short with the lady, right, she ended up getting a new Polo, the one that I was at the center of the campaign. She basically, I don't know if it was her or even her colleagues, but basically she told me that, babes, I went to the dealership, I told them that I'm due for a new company car, and I told my team that I would like the new Polo, and I told the team at the dealership that your work with Tumie is groundbreaking. It is great. We love seeing her grow. We love the collaboration because we're seeing a big giant brand collaborate with a local creative, which is quite a big milestone. So for me, that was such a very affirming moment. And like I said, she knows herself. She's watching this video. She knows I have so much love for her, and that I will never forget. I'll never forget my interaction with her. I will never forget what that moment made me feel like. And yeah, so that was VW. I went on to also work with USN. And with the USN, it tapped into my fitness lifestyle. And I remember I had been approaching the brand year in, year out, I think for 2 years. And by the time I got to work with them, it wasn't because of the proposals that I had sent. It was because they actually had a competition where they made, I think it was on Twitter or Facebook, I think, where they had said, ladies who want to collaborate with the brand should send, I think, a 1 minute or 2 minute video where they basically speak about why they should collaborate with the brand. And I remember saying to them that, listen, I speak to the girl next door, I speak to the fitness girl that just wants to be healthy, look great, is not too intense with her workouts, but basically trains in a very girl next door, very relatable way. So, I got the deal together with a lady called Mandisa. Mandisa is a trainer, nothing but love and respect for her. She continues to work in the space, and at the time we were joining a group of guys. So it was the USN ladies basically, and we'd go on to do shoots, we'd collaborate together, do gym shoots, do events shoots. Like, it was the brand integrating into our fitness journeys. And with me, I was very picky with what I picked as well, because I wasn't, and I still am not a trainer. I train for fitness and for health, right? So I needed to always create content around products that were authentic and made sense. And you'd be like, aha, me, that's a bit technical. We know you don't take that. So I stuck to like whey protein, energy bars, like basically stuff that I knew was super, super relatable and could be relatable to the girl next door, and not necessarily like a die-hard fitness babe. But that relationship, like any other relationship, was the first of its kind. So it had challenges. It was US and Botswana, it wasn't US and generally. So a lot of the stuff the brand was trying to do was basically them and us figuring it out with no support from the bigger, or maybe little support from the bigger brand, but we weren't part of the bigger USN squad, right? And you'd see it in just the way we had to plan stuff, you'd see it in the way we had to put things together to get it to look great. But I can stand here and be proud to say we actually did it, and it was such a great moment. I still continue to be fit. I go to the gym, I train, because we know you have to have it together. But I don't take subs anymore, just because I think when I stopped working with them, then I said, okay, let me do 1 year without them, let's see if I can, and I continue to do it without them. But it was such a great moment, such a great defining moment. Another defining moment, I worked with Johnny Walker the whiskey. So with that, it was a defining moment because it was the first time I worked with an alcohol brand, and there's a lot of care and attention that goes into working with an alcohol brand, because you want to be responsible. You still want to appeal to the party, fun times, great times, but you need to be responsible, because you know what I mean, it's alcohol. You can't be encouraging a lot of irresponsible behavior. So with that came us, and I say us because it was a group, I think it was about 6 or 7 of us, where we were contracted to work with the brand over a 4-weekend period. The campaign was called, I think it was Johnny Walker Code Black. So JW Code Black. It was a black, and then at the end was Bots for Botswana, or SA, or Namibia. Brian wanted to get the younger, adults to know that whiskey is not just for the guys in the suits and the older guys who are chilling and talking business. You can create cocktails, you can have food pairings, which is why over the 4 weekends we had a food pairing dining experience, we had a club experience, we had a pool party. The pool party that I've always loved trying out new things. So the 4th weekend was the pool party. And the brand was like, what do you guys want to do? You guys have leeway to tell us what you want to do. And I said to them, let's plan a pool party. Found a place in a guest house in Block 8. We booked the entire thing out. I got props. We got a DJ. Like, it was, like, looking back at it now, I'm like, yeah, no, I've really always loved putting together stuff in an eventing space, which will lead on to something else that I'll tell you guys about in a bit. But basically, that's what the Johnny Walker collaboration entailed. It was great. It was the first of its kind as well. The brand had never worked with creatives in Botswana. It was amazing to be a part of. And with that brand collaboration, I was able to get my other brand collaboration via time period, which I'll get back to when we start talking 2019. I want to wrap up 2018. Despite all the success that I just highlighted as far as 2018 and being happy with the brand work that I had done, I can say this now in hindsight that I was actually frustrated, mainly because I felt stuck, because I knew I wanted to move into equity. I knew I wanted something that would belong to me, or I would have a stake in, and not just me, collaborating with the brand. And I didn't know where to start. First of all, I realized that I'm in Gabs. There's so many limitations. Prior to this year, in 2018, I had actually launched a limited edition fashion line. I believe it was in 2017 or 2018, I can't remember. And it had 3 collections. The first one went out, second one, by the third one, I was like, okay, let me wrap it up. I'm tired. And it came from a fact of, okay, cool. I would get fabric in Joburg. I would get it into production, because everything was conceptualized from scratch. I think this is one of my biggest it's not a downfall because it's just what I like. I was very clear that I didn't want to order stock and then put my label or put my branding on a plastic. I wanted to own and create everything from scratch. It was meant to be ready to wear stuff, not design and custom made stuff. So technically I was competing with heavyweights. I was competing with, big companies that could afford to sell a dress and have 10 of the same dresses at $300. For me, $300 was just the cost of the fabric, you know what I mean? And I was so particular, I wanted to get it in Joburg, that was such a great time, and it was a great time to learn what goes into owning a business, but I quickly shut it down. I think that was in 2017 or 2016, and I remember I called it Kosiradi because I felt like I was Anyway, back to 2018. So with that frustration of not owning anything and having had tried with the fashion line, I was like, what can I own? I looked up handbag making companies in Joburg. The leather was too expensive. I say, ooh, I can't afford that. I looked into eyelashes. I wasn't too sure of the supplier. I looked into shades because I love shades. Wasn't sure of the supplier, and I wanted to make from scratch. I couldn't find from scratch. All I could find was, here's the stock. You can put your name, you can put your label, rock with it. And I was like, no, but I want to create everything from scratch, and that blocked me. I didn't know where to start. I looked into makeup as well. Makeup was the trickiest because I was like, hey, imagine people now react to my lipsticks because I can't do quality control because I'm ordering from abroad. I can't go abroad. I didn't know where to start, right? Parked it. Down the line, there's an opportunity for me to get into an eventing space during that same year, and which then birthed the meeting. And I smile because when I speak about the meeting as a social Sunday event, it's an era or a chapter in my life that I can't sum up in this video. I feel like it could have its own video alone. It will have a chapter in a book one day. Hi. But basically with that, it was a social Sunday picnic. I'm saying was because we've since shut it down, and by we I mean my partners in the entity. It was my brother and my husband, but at the time he was my partner. We hadn't gotten married there. And we went into the space because we loved attending events. We also used it to leverage of other business interests and other businesses that plugged into the event without them being at the forefront. So I won't discuss them because they're not a part of my journey. It involves other people as well, like my partners. And we loved it. It was a tough space to get into, but it was also exciting because it was new, it was fresh. Sunday social picnics existed even prior to us joining, but it was a first for us because we basically conceptualized it around the things we love, which was good times, our friends, good food, great aesthetics, Sunday day drinking. I love day drinking. I need to be home by 8 p.m. guys. I don't know why I'm out in the dark. If it's dark, I need to be home. So it was conceptualized around day drinking, picnics, the sun, the works, right? That went on to last for about 2 years. I mean, COVID affects the years. I don't even know anymore. But basically, we had our first one in 2018, October or November, if I'm not mistaken. And that was it 18 or 19? I think it was 18 though. That was a defining moment, and it was also defining because I then merged it into another collaboration, which now brings me into 2019. In 2019, I started working with Tanqueray, the brand. Tanqueray is a brand I've always loved. I've always been a gin girl, and when I worked on the Johnny Walker campaign, I sort of got insights on how I can approach Tanqueray, right? Approached Tanqueray, told them this is the past work that I've done with an alcohol brand, but you guys are my people, and I feel like we can create magic. Jump on board, let's see what we can do. Send my proposal. They loved it. We decided to go on a journey that had never been done in the context of Botswana. It was a long-term influencer / brand, alcoholic brand rather, collaboration where they supported me, where I created content, whether photo shoots, video shoots, I attended events. They took me to events in South Africa and Eswatini. I have traveled because of them and because of our relationship. And for me, the pinnacle of that collaboration was when they now started sponsoring the meeting, which was obviously an equity that I had a stake in. So it was Tumie the individual, Tanqueray the brand, the meeting and the entity that Tumie has a stake in. For me, that was like a dream come true because at the core of brand collaborations, I believe the bigger brands, the giant brands, should come in and enhance the life of a creative and enhance the creativity of a creative and the business that the creative owns. So when they did that and they bought into the idea, it was groundbreaking. We had the event decked out in umbrellas. We would have the trailer coming in from Joburg to come and, you know, act as a VIP section. It was a moment. It was a moment in pop culture. It was a moment in my life. Do I miss the eventing space? Yes, sometimes. However, you know, times were not aligned, schedules were not aligned. Also, just the business metrics that go into owning an event, it takes over your whole life, totally. And already as it is, I don't have enough time. Like, it was just a chapter we all had to close. But we look back at it now and we're like, maybe one day, don't quote me on this, I don't know, okay? I will then now go on to elaborate on Tanqueray independent of the event, right? With the brand, they allowed me and still continue to allow me, because I still work with them, to create content that is authentic to me and my audience. We do fashion shoots that integrate the brand to it. We do lifestyle, we do travel. I remember there's a post I did when I was in Spain and it integrated Tanqueray. I've been with them to events. And it's gotten to a point where I can't think about my journey as a content creator without them. They have trusted me in the Botswana context to run with certain elements beyond the influencer scope. So I would sit in at different tables and at different meetings, speaking the brand, for the brand, on behalf of the brand, and with the brand. And I think it just cemented what an influencer and brand collaboration can entail. It can go beyond the camera, lights, and action. It can even go behind the scenes, and that's where I learned, and that is where I am right now, which I'll get into later, is a great pivot from that collaboration that I continue to still have. I mean, we've launched different flavors. Sevilla first hit the market while I was still working with the brand, while I still am working with the brand. Royale hit the market. We've had launches for both of them. We've had activations for both of them. It's been a great journey that, you know, it would be a great injustice if I didn't give it its own standalone moment like I just did. So yeah, that was 2019. What else was happening in 2019? Oh, shucks, how did I forget this? I graduated with my LLB in 2019. I probably forgot it because after graduating, I never practiced. I've gotten into this before. By third year, I just knew my interest had changed. But because I tend to always want to finish what I start, I went on with the course and finished it, which I'm grateful for because I see it being relevant and applicable in my new journey right now. So I graduated yet again. Everybody came together. Tanqueray was there for the dinner. You know, the makeover place was there on my hair. Who did my makeup? I think it was Kim at the time. David was there with the pictures. It was just a moment that felt like, yes, it's personal, but it has a professional element to it because I could tie in my glam squad and my team. So 2019 and 2018 were actually like, yeah, they were big years, yeah, they were big years. They were big years. I'm smiling now because I can't actually stop thinking about just how much went into it. Like even my feed, when you go into those 2 years, there was travel, there was a lot, but it was a busy, but a great type of busy. And I didn't speak out on a lot of stuff that I was doing. For example, the event. I never actually came out and spoke about it. I never explained my stake in it. I was always very ambiguous about it. At the peak of the relationship, I would create content where it wasn't clear whether Tumie is attending the event, or is she there because Tanqueray is sponsoring it, or by that time, you know, word had gotten around that I had a stake in the event and I was a part of the team. So it was, who is she creating content for? And at the time, it was for everybody, baby. It was a triple threat. So that moment was so great for me. I'd never shown the behind the scenes. There were a lot. Maybe some of them will make it to this video, but let me just say it was very eventful and it was very vital in order to have the Tumie that you see here with you on screen today. So 2020 was a tough year. We all know that was a tough year, and I don't want to get into all that went into 2020 because we've had this chat before, what I went through, what I didn't like, But basically, for the context of this video, it was a year that I think I was the most frustrated. I felt like it was an anticlimax from all the great work that I had done over the years, especially because 2018 and 2019 was so great. And 2020 came in and it just went all the way down. And I struggled not only with the pandemic, I also just struggled with, because I'm a very structured person, 2020 had big plans and I knew how I was going to action those plans. So when the world stopped, literally, I could not fathom what that meant. I could not navigate that. And I mean, the only thing that I can say I did confidently, and once I picked that up, I said, okay, this will be my saving grace, was that I then decided to go back to the drawing board. Because there was no brands calling, there were no brands doing collaborations, there were no events, there was no traveling. There was nothing that's within my sphere of work. I went back to the drawing board and I just created content. Just that, simply. Took my vlogging camera, vlogged a lot, did a lot of sit-down videos, and that actually opened me up to a South African market because YouTube is so far, and you know, as far as the reach is so far. I did vlogs, I ran errands, I did what I had to do. It went on YouTube, opened me to a great market on YouTube that also translated to my Instagram. I also relied heavily on David. You guys know David has taken my pictures, I think, my entire journey actually. He's been my one go-to photographer. Yes, I work with different photographers as and when necessary, but when you think to me, you think David Billboard. And he's now a friend. We spent the whole of 2020 pulling each other out of like a very frustrated, dark place because of the pandemic, but I think he pulled me more than I did pull him. And I'll always be grateful for that, because I would say to him, let's just shoot fashion content. I don't know, I don't have inspo. I have 2 outfits. Let's see what we can do. Some days I'd say to him, I want to do a denim series, which births the series that, yeah, you guys send me messages and like, how far? Guys, series is a lot of work. To shoot that 7-day series, yikes. Anyway, 2020 birthed that, because I said to him, I have stuff that I can style, 7 ways, let's take pictures. So we would hit the streets, take pictures, go to different locations, take the pictures. I created content that kept my creativity spark alive, that kept my excitement for life alive. And I can't not make this shout out to David. Like, we've created amazing work together, but I think just what the work that we created in 2020 meant, I would be doing it a great injustice if I don't highlight that.
David Billboard here, photographer and friend to Nthutang. We're here to celebrate 10 years of content creation, being influencer, digital marketing, all the stuff that she does behind the scenes that she might not show. But 10 years in the game is a long time. I think I've only been a photographer 7 years, so like, yo, kudos to you, hey. Keep pushing. Tumie and I met on a shoot 2017, 15 maybe, a friend's shoot. I very embarrassingly hugged her, thinking that she was somebody that I knew. I can't remember who. And she just looked at me like, but yeah, after that very embarrassing moment, we just kind of like connected instantly, just as friends, just hanging out here and there. Wherever I'd bump into her, she would invite me out, and then I think randomly I was just like, yo, let's go to Cape Town Fashion Week. And she was like, yeah. And yeah, we've been friends ever since, just making content together. She's like my champagne buddy. When I want to drink really good champagne, good gin, when I want to have a good time, when I want to be out on a night and I don't want to feel stressed, like I feel safe, Tumie for sure, and her friends actually. I think one thing people don't know about Tumie is that she's always on time. A couple things actually. She's always on time. She's very good at planning things, like meticulous. I guess that's the same thing. Our most iconic picture, actually there's two. There's two. One was an orange sort of outfit, big hat. I remember we did this at a farm. Beautiful sunset hour image. I think she was dressed by Fadik. And the second, which might be my favorite, would have to be one where she was in a green dress and we were at Gaborone Dam. She looked like a mermaid. Beautiful golden hour, you got the water behind you, really still, and yeah.
So with 2020, everything was slow, created but I could create. A highlight that also came out of it is that that's the year I got married towards the end of the year. And you'll notice that I actually do make it a point to not make my personal life a lot of my content. My content though centers around lifestyle, my personal life, my family, even my friends will feature once in a while, but my personal life remains personal. Yes, there was pictures and yes, there was whatever, but it was always in a by the way. I was very cognizant of not making it part of my brand. And that's just a personal belief and that's just how I want to do things. But yes, it was a highlight for 2020, so I do have to mention that. That was 2020. So 2021, I want to call it the year of restoration, but it was a very gradual restoration, right? I had taken into 2021 feelings from 2020 of resentment, of frustration, of hurt, of just feeling like the timing was off. Don't get me wrong, there's never a great time to have a pandemic, but I felt like, shucks man, I was on an uphill, and then the pandemic happened and I was literally trickling down the hill. And I was just like, this should not have happened now, right? And in 2021, I started to slowly get back into the groove of things, still dealing with the side effects of the pandemic, of course, but then business was slowly picking up. I then made a conscious decision to reduce the number of brands that I worked with, just because I was older, I was different, I was not the same. And I decided to stick to brands that one would agree to long-term work, so I wanted like retainer work more than, ad hoc work that comes as and when. I still do it, but not as much. So I focused on retainer work. I focused on brands that I've always loved because I was like, you know what? I don't care if this doesn't work. A pandemic can come and my life can change overnight. I am going to send these proposals and keep trying and keep trying. And speaking of brands that I kept trying and trying, I had been trying to work with Aldo for years. I think I started shopping in Aldo when I was in my first year. So I started shopping in Aldo in 2013. And I loved the brand. I remember I would take my student allowance and go spend almost half of it on a handbag because I just love the brand, okay? And when I got older, I realized it's still a brand that I always love. Let me continue purchasing. I was literally a client. When I walked into the Aldo store in Game City, at the time there was one store. I was a client and they knew me as Tumie, she loves the brand. When I went into content creation, I tried to approach them, thought not now, I'm still growing my brand. When I had grown my brand to an extent where I felt like, I can hit them up. I didn't get it. Tried another year, I didn't get it. 2020 happened, forgot about it. In 2021, they approached me. They said, hey, are you down for this collaboration? And it was such a great moment for me. It was such a reminder of God's grace, of God's timing, of God's way to restore, because it's a brand I've always loved, and the timing and getting it was something that I was not expecting, and when it happened, it was so fantastic. That was 2021. It was a year of hope, a year of God restoring, a year of saying, the sun will shine again. So I don't know what to say about 2022. It was a very eventful year, and a lot happened in a good way and in a bad way. I think it's the year that a lot happened. First of all, my love for the industry changed. I continue to love the industry. I continue to love being a content creator, but I just want to do it differently. And in 2022, I could see that the industry was moving into a different direction, where content creators had to tap into a lot of that personal life, or a lot of some moments that you really shouldn't make a part of your content, in my opinion, in order to keep people still engaged. So I had to really be strict with what I want, how I want to position my brand. Even just the brand, the way the brands approached content creators, it was different. And it was a thing of, I want that. I don't want that now. I'm not at that stage in my life. I'm older. I've changed certain things about myself. And I want to be able to stand tall in my decisions. I want to be able to stand tall in what I do decide to make a part of my content, and how I want to work with brands and under what terms. So 2022 was the year that solidified that. Obviously that cost me work. I think 2022 was actually the year that I had a lot of requests coming in from let's collaborate, and me saying, I want 1, 2, 3, and the other party would say, I want 5, 6, 7. We wouldn't get to an agreement. It would be nothing but respect for you and your business, but let's not work together type of thing. So it was the year where I felt like, at some point I remember telling my husband that I feel like I keep rejecting stuff or my stuff keep getting rejected. Like, and it's only because because I have a vision and I'll get there. But right now, as I'm on the journey there, it's not it. But I'm grateful that I did that now. In 2023, in hindsight, I'll get back into it. I'm grateful that I spent 2022 defining. I think it defined me as a person more than anything. That allowed me to define how I wanted to work with brands. But nonetheless, the brand collabs that I did do were fantastic. I enjoyed my content last year. I did a lot of dope video content. I did a lot of dope photography content. You remember, I was always working, but always working happily. Like, yes, I was on autopilot because I was still, recovering from COVID, but also because I enjoyed it. I felt happy. I felt grown. I felt better. I felt I oozed that about myself, and it translated to my content. We've had events as well. I think, Tumie Royale launched last year. I hosted a brunch. That was a fantastic day for me because it was the first time that the brand had, first of all, allowed a creative to run with something like that, and I ran with it. I invited customers. I invited stores that stock the brand, movers and shakers in the industry like influencers, content creators. I invited, marketing personnel, marketing heads from different companies. It wasn't an influencer event. It was a movers and shakers event in different spheres, right? And for me, it was a challenge because all the other events that I've ever hosted with brands, it was always a content creator or influencer event. But this time, it had to merge all the different stakeholders that are affected by a new flavor hitting the market. I made a decision to actually branch into SA. And I've always said to my close people that when I branch into South Africa, it will not be as a content creator. Because the reality is that when you come into a foreign space, there's certain legalities and there's certain red tape that you need to navigate in order to be able to function as an adult with a place to stay, a car to drive, bills to pay, that being a creative doesn't necessarily allow. Number 2, you're already coming into a market that has stellar content creators, that has stellar, lifestyle and culture to it. So when you branch into it, you need to know how you do it and why. So my plan has always been get into the space from a different field and then continue creating and merge it together. So in 2022, I started that process. It took me an entire year because there's a lot of paperwork that goes into it that I did not know that it would take that long. I was back and forth the 2 countries. At some point, I was living out of my suitcase. I did a lot of brand work that side, a lot of events where, I was just getting my foot in. And most importantly, I started working from an agency perspective where now, in the past, that yes, I had worked with brands and put together certain campaigns in town as a consultant. But now I actually work full-time, and not a lot of people know this. Last year, I actually had a full-time job. I had a full-time job. I worked virtually. I would open my laptop at home. I had 2 laptops. Open my work laptop, do my work, 5 p.m., shut it down, start my Nthutang work, brand work, clients, shoots, And obviously that was in conjunction with school as well. Towards the end of the year, I decided actually let me close the chapter. I will stay in gaps for a bit as I figure out what my next move is. It was great in giving me an introduction to the South African market, absolutely. And it introduced me to the South African market not just as a content creator, but also somebody working behind the scenes. So the relationships, the experience that have come from that year are something I can't sum up into a year. But yeah, that's what 2022 looked like. Before I get into 2023 and wrap up this video, I need to give a shout out to some of the brands I've worked with over the years. These brands did not get a moment alone, but they basically, need a shout out because they're part of my journey and there's no me without them either. I'm gonna have to check my phone because it's a long list. We have Simba, we have TPT, we have De Beers, MAC, Cotton On, all things events. Speaking of which, they have been a part of my life. I have harassed them and they have literally created everything that I've ever wanted. And today's set design is actually done by them. They came and juiced it up for me. Thank you. We have Sky Girls, Access Bank, Trauma Marina Hotel, Masa Hotel, Red's Vodka Lemon, Madison. Like, I feel like there's some that I'm forgetting. I'm so sorry if I didn't shout you out. It's not even like a thing of I'm not trying to mention. It's a thing of this video is going to be too long. But thank you so much. Yeah, man. Even just saying it out loud, a lot of these things and a lot of these brand collaborations that I'm mentioning now were first, even with those brands. So, yeah, man, we've worked together with these brands. We've created a space. We have cemented a place as far as content creation being an actual thing in Gabs and in Botswana. Look back at 10 years and see just how much work has gone into 10 years of Tumie and also 10 years of, you know, to a certain extent contributing towards this space is great, which is why I always love it.
My name is Gahisento, and guess what? I am here to celebrate Tumie in Nthutang. I think I met Tumie back in 2014. So confident, hey, and I loved that about her from the beginning. So I think we did the interview. I don't know if it was a magazine. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember. So, and then a couple of years later, Modi functioning, we keep on bumping into each other. It was always vibes with me. Positive energy, good vibes with her. The go-getter, as we all know, she's a hard worker. She is a perfectionist, as we all know, so that's what I love about her. Tumie, baby girl, I love you and congratulations for being in this game for 10 years of straight, and you are killing the game. You are killing the game. Please remain as humble as you are. And I love your work ethic. I love how determined you are and how you love what you do. And you inspire a whole lot of us, hey? Like when I came into this game, it's just a hobby. But looking at people like you in the industry just gives me so much hope. And thank you for inspiring women like us. And keep killing the game, baby girl. Sky's the limit.
I'm Kaboli Site. I'm a photographer professionally. I run KO Photography and also on the side, the high images. 10 years, yeah, eh? And the first time I met her, she was, I think, doing Form 5 at her prom. And I knew that she's got something special. And look now, 10 years in the game, she's done so much. We've worked together in some influencing gigs there and there, and yeah, big ups to you. The first time me and Tumie worked together, we were doing the Johnny Walker campaign, Johnny Walker Black, and she wanted Tangari, and I gave her the Tangari. I gave her the Johnny Walker, not Johnny Walker, but the Tangari. But it was a passage for her to network with South Africans and be the Tangari woman that she is right now. And I mean, for me, Johnny Walker, for a lot of, because of photography, I couldn't balance the two, but I did some few influencing gigs for Johnny Walker, like as time went by, and she's doing very well with Tangari. Ever since that day to this day, yeah, you guys have seen what she has done with Tangari, and yeah, that's commendable. I think she has done, like, I don't know, man, she has done so well for herself and also for the space, because she's one of the most consistent influencers probably in the country. I mean, she can give us like 7-day diary. Today, tomorrow, outfit after outfit, this after that. And also she focused on what she actually likes, which is, yeah, obviously jabbling and fashion. Like, those two, for her, they just do wonders.
My name is Samantha Mokwe, and I am officially known as an artist, creative, singer-songwriter. I'm also a radio personality. Tumie and I first met officially when we had to work together for I think it was a 2-year campaign we did for a certain bank. And just in our interactions, I got to know what type of person she is work-wise and personally. I guess I got to see, first of all, the perfectionist that is Tumie. And you know, there's really nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, she does things properly because she wants to make sure that whatever it is that is being put out there is the best of what she can do at that particular point in time. from a work point of view, that's how we got to know each other. Personally, she is an amazing person. A straight shooter, what you see is what you get. So there's no confusion when it comes to wondering what type of person she is. She loves to have fun, but she's also quite serious about life and what she does with her business. I think also knowing Tumie, she has also encouraged some of us. Look, I might be in the creative industry, but mostly from a music point of view. But anytime I see some of the work that Tumie is doing, I am inspired to, try and be seen in a professional point of view from people who are following me on my socials. So she's very encouraging. Another big thing that you might not know about Tumie is she will put you on. She will definitely put you on. She's like passed on some deals my way. When she finds herself in a room where they ask her to mention certain people who could fit a certain, how can I say it? Whatever the brand is looking for, she will mention your name if she knows that you will do things properly.
Hi babes, how's it?
Hi.
Dude, an entire decade. Speaking of which, I feel like, obviously when I think about the past decade and I think about the creative space, there's like a certain group that obviously comes to mind, and you were rather part of that group, and you still are in a different way. I mean, obviously you went away from being in front of the camera to more behind the scenes, working more with clients, doing your own thing, agency work, and which is so fantastic. I'm proud of you. I keep saying. What do you think? Like, how do you think the past 10 years have been like? What's the journey been like? Because I feel like you actually diversified and moved from a content creator space directly, whereas I still stuck it out. Yes, I diversified by tapping into certain businesses that were benchmarking off the content creation. But like, how's it been? This is me trying to get you to sum up 10 years. That's wild.
Listen, first of all, to me, I'm quite very impressed with us.
Yeah.
And the fact that you were able to count, child, and get the right number. I mean, as much as I get it, we probably all started at different points or whatever, but the fact that you reached your 10 mark, a 10-year mark, it actually just put it into context, how long it's been.
Yeah.
And I look back and I'm really shocked to say that we did it, actually. We did it, because I remember at one point, it was just so hard.
Yeah.
To convince people, and we had to convince people that digital was the way.
Yeah.
Because you can save so many costs by going digital.
Right.
And we did it.
Yeah.
So I think with, as much as I've changed myself so much.
Yeah.
The one thing that I always look back and I appreciate is the fact that we had an objective.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the objective was to show people that we're all the same in the sense that we're all human.
Right.
But we all have unique points. Like, I was different, you were different. Our other friends then, they were also different.
Right.
But we knew that we were communicating to other people who were as well different. And by us coming together, we were now reaching a much, and we did it.
Listen, all I'm saying is there was a time we were very unstoppable.
Yes.
I got to recall, but you get what I mean.
It was after that moment, and then I stopped.
Yeah, but that was a good time to actually leave the scene, because it was like while you were still hot and happening, and it was just like a great time for you to diversify.
Yes.
And the fact that we're even doing this virtually because you're all the way in Mawoon doing your own thing, which I need to commend you on, because packing up your life to start a new life in a different place is quite commendable, and I think you've grown in leaps and bounds and made such great strides that side. And you can't not mention your name even this side of the country when certain conversations like these happen, That's why there was absolutely no way I was going to shoot this video and not include you. And we've worked on a couple of stuff together, sometimes for clients, sometimes just us two. What would you say was your fave? Sometimes listen. What would you say was your favorite time? or campaign or collabo.
Work. In terms of us and work, listen, we have so many memories.
Yeah.
We have so many memories. I don't think people know this, and I don't think people will ever get to know unless we maybe should. If really need a documentary for them to know.
Yeah.
But like for me, the favorite one was when we worked with a reputable bank.
Yeah.
I think that's when I got to realize for me.
Yeah, I think it was a very pioneering moment as well because it had never been done. And obviously because banks are known to be very like, I don't want to say uptight, but like very serious. So for them to get into like a creative space where they kind of allowed all of us to be ourselves in a creative forum was great. I think that's my favorite as well. And then there was a time a different bank invited us for an event and they actually like paid for us to attend that event. And I think for me, that was the time I was like, this is the life. This can happen. You can literally be paid to attend stuff and have fun and create content and have it be so beautiful. And for me, that's like, probably number 2, like one of the top 2 moments.
Sometimes it's easy to miss those moments.
Yeah, because also we never stop to actually take them in. Like even just the fact that we're having this phone call and it's 10 years later, a part of me was just like, I don't have time. I can't do this project, literally. But then I was also just like, actually, if I don't do it now, it means I'm not pausing to actually take in the 10 years. I don't know, the next 10 years are definitely going to be different from this. And I don't want to look back and be like, shucks, that's a moment I could have documented. Right. Ooh, yes. And Netflix, listen, Gabriela, the universe needs to do what it has to do. Thank you so much for taking my call, babes. I hope to see you soon.
I will be with you soon.
Okay.
Maui is just a flight away. And before you head out, I hope you continue being not just an inspiration for drinking green tea. I'm doing.
Yes.
Completely. Yeah,
love it.
If I'm saying it the right way.
Yes, you are. This makes me so happy. Yes.
I have it. And honestly, Zala, you continue doing it. And don't stop.
Thank you.
Because you continue to touch different lives.
Yeah.
And it's a power. It's a superpower. Not everyone has it.
Yeah.
And you embrace it. God gave you that responsibility for a reason. To the next 10 years.
Yes.
Let's keep going.
Thank you, babes. I love you.
Yes. See you on the other side. I love you too. And keep going.
Thank you. You too. See you soon. Sharp.
My name is Uya Pokitohetswe. I am a lifestylist, brand builder, visual artist, travel curator, and a lover of life. I think it's quite interesting when you think about brands, when you think about sharing a piece of yourself online. It's very quintessential to me, simply because she has done that in a intriguing, educational, inspiring, informative manner. The way that she talks to people, the way that she conveys herself, the ways that she puts herself out there has been something that's quite inspiring. I mean, like, she has put in the work without a doubt. Whether she was putting in the work where she was paying for everything herself, or now that clients pay for some of the content, it's quite interesting to see the journey that she's been on. I remember the days when we first met over 10 years ago, and she was asking me about, blogging and how to do a blog and how to get herself out there. I remember exactly where we sat. I remember when we linked up. Only fitting that she has become the brand that we know and love today. It's not easy. It hasn't been easy for a fact for her. It hasn't been easy for myself. It hasn't been easy for so many other people. But the fact that we're still here today and we're still trying to, carve the way for so many people, I think speaks volumes to the type of person that Tumie is. You think about resilience, you think about hard work, you think about compassion, you think about love, you think about perseverance.
My name is Paul Gerekang. I'm one half of Keno. I'm a lawyer and an entrepreneur. Man, 10 years already. Wow, Tumie. That's very commendable. Your consistency, resilience, and persistence is just unmatched. First time I interacted with Tumie, it was for an interview. It was at Airport Junction. I can't recall exactly the publication it was. And from the onset, I could always tell that she was a visionary. I loved her energy and enthusiasm, and ever since day one, we just clicked. So it's no surprise that even 10 years later, she is where she is right now, and it's no surprise she's going to take it to 15 or 20. And her love for her work and dedication is just, like I keep saying, unmatched. We usually have conversations relating to business. We've done a couple of projects and campaigns together, and very few people you come across who are actually dedicated, who take time to research, due diligence, and actually put in all their energy in what they do. So it's very much commendable, and I know the future holds great things for her. Personally, I'd love to work with her and still collaborate and make more money. Her passion for making money is also unmatched, and that's why me and her click. Other than the fact that me and her are also attorneys, so there's a lot of common ground between me and her. So yeah. So if I'm to take it back a bit, I remember at the top of my head 2 projects, if I may call it that we did together. Was a campaign we did for FNB. I think it lasted like 12 months or so, and we also did a branding masterclass together. We actually need to bring that back, and it was quite interesting. You see, we have a way of thinking as lawyers, and I'd say we have a bit of leverage or upper hand when we bring the knowledge and skills from lawyering into the creative sector. So our perspective is a bit different, and working with her, it wasn't much of a challenge because we're quite complementary in terms of the energy and understanding. But trust me, she will keep pushing you to limits, and if you thought you were at 100, you will have to take it to 150 to work with her. I remember the branding masterclass we had to dig deep into our network and social circles to make it happen, and we really pulled it off. Tumie is the benchmark when it comes to content creation, more Botswana when it comes to influencing, and it's quite impressive that we've seen her crossing borders into SA.
I am in a new different space, a different chapter, quite literally. But I'm in a new space. I've tapped into corporate with me. I now, wear a different hat. That hat is challenging, it's rewarding. I get to work every day, I get to travel, I get to literally all my days look different, which if you think about it, that's what I love. I love a challenge, I love working on new stuff. So yeah, I'm in my corporate girl project management era, full-time, working with clients, working on campaigns, working on projects. Listen, it's a lot. So to a certain extent, it's not a surprise. It's just an extension of everything that I've done, even summing up the consultancy work, the agency work that I've done, the behind the scenes work that I've done, have now put me in a position where I'm here now. Thank you for supporting me. One thing I have learned in the 10 years is that being brave, being consistent, being robust and unapologetic about who you are and what you want will open a lot of doors, and it has done that for me, and it will continue to do that for me. So yeah, that is where I am. That is what 10 years has looked like, and this is what 10 years has led to. I can't wait to see what the next 10 years will look like. I might be wearing a different hat again, because one thing about me, I will challenge myself and do a lot. But yeah, thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for the past 10 years. It would not have been possible without you. I can't say thank you enough. It's been humbling, it's been beautiful. I thank God, I thank my family, I thank my friends, I thank the brands that have trusted me, I thank the audience that has been engaging with me and allowed me to build a community for 10 solid years. From never being on TV, never been on radio, never been a mainstream celebrity, to literally building a community based on just my social media is not something I take for granted, and I salute and thank you again. Let's see what the next 10 years look like. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you